content story or content story, content story. So you're having a teachable moment, and then you share a story to bring it to life. So the content, think about this. Think about you're building a building that's a solid building of content. Brick, content. Brick, how to. Brick, how to. Brick, how to. Brick, how to. The cement that sticks the bricks together is the story. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So if someone doesn't share any stories with you, can you get great value from them? Yes. Intellectual. But you're not quite as passionate about it. Does that make sense? If someone was just all stories, can you be passionate about them? Absolutely. You just didn't take a lot of notes. I was that way. When I first started, I just had story after story after story after story. And then Jack would come on stage and he'd do all this, he does this masterful story, content story, and everyone's taking notes. I'm like, well, I gave value too. I didn't write anything down. See, I don't know how to write down about your grandmother. Right? Think about it. There's nothing to write down. When I told the Oprah story on the couch, there's nothing to write down. You're like this, ooh, good movie. Right? So just know that your story it's that thing that moves between the content. And you don't have to have it, but you should. It feels better. And the content is very important, but you can't just lean on it. I'm sorry, I gotta be willing to tell you, your content isn't that good, but I don't want your story in your life. I want your life. I want to know how you got to the place where you were right here. I want to know what happened when you didn't know you could be here. Does that make sense, you guys?
Yes.
So you depend on how many panels of content, story, content, based on how much time you have. So if you got 5 minutes, do content, story, content, one pack. You got 45 minutes, you can do the whole thing. You got 3 hours, you'll go back and forth. You may tell one story and the same story goes all the way through all the content. You just pause the story for some content and then go back into the story. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Makes sense. So this is the ideal model, the ideal layout. And let me just tell you what I do. I look at the outcome that I want my students to get to, and then I determine the stories. Then I build my content around my stories. Yeah. So I determine the outcome I want my clients, my students to get to. So first, number one, determine the outcome. What do you want them to know as a result of you speaking? What do you want them to do as a result of you speaking? What action do you want your audience to take? What's the action? Begin with the end in mind. Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective. Begin with the end in mind. What action do you want them to take? Based on the action, based on the promise of your message, what stories bring that promise to life? What stories are in alignment with that? And then content around your stories. And your story doesn't have to have anything to do with content. Oprah's couch has nothing to do with what I was teaching this morning. But it does. Make it all tie together. Next slide, please. So when you're doing